Wendy Williams built her career through a transition from radio into television, establishing a presence that relied on direct commentary and consistent engagement with celebrity culture. Her talk show became a central platform in daytime media, combining interviews, entertainment news, and personal opinion. Over time, this position translated into financial success and strong public recognition. Her approach to broadcasting, which often included personal disclosures alongside commentary on others, contributed to a brand that was closely tied to her personality. Kevin Hunter played a key role in the structure behind that success. He worked as her manager and executive producer, overseeing business operations and contributing to strategic decisions. Their relationship combined personal and professional responsibilities, creating a situation where both individuals were connected not only through marriage but also through a shared business framework. This arrangement allowed for coordinated control over Williams's career and the expansion of her media presence. For a significant period, this structure appeared stable. The growth of the Wendy Williams Show reinforced the perception of a successful partnership, with Hunter positioned behind the scenes and Williams maintaining a visible public role. The balance between these positions formed the foundation of their professional environment. However, reports concerning issues within their personal relationship began to circulate, introducing a separate layer of attention that existed alongside their public success. These reports included claims of infidelity involving Hunter, which remained part of public discussion over time. The situation became more clearly defined when it was confirmed that he had fathered a child with another woman. This development shifted the nature of the relationship from private tension to a matter of public record. In 2019, Wendy Williams filed for divorce, ending both the marriage and the business arrangement that had supported her career for years. The legal outcome of the divorce included financial provisions that reflected the scale of the enterprise they had built together. Hunter was granted alimony payments reported to be approximately $17,000 per month. This figure was based on the income generated during a period when Williams was actively hosting her show and maintaining a high level of earnings. At that point, the agreement aligned with standard legal practice, taking into account the financial conditions that existed during their marriage. The context surrounding this agreement changed as Wendy Williams's health began to affect her ability to continue working. She had previously disclosed that she was managing Graves' disease, and her condition later progressed to include a diagnosis of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. These developments had a direct impact on her capacity to perform her role on television, which in turn affected her income and overall financial position. In 2022, additional changes occurred when Wells Fargo froze her accounts, citing concerns that she may have been a victim of undue influence and financial exploitation. This action led to legal proceedings that resulted in the appointment of a court-ordered financial guardian. The guardian was assigned responsibility for overseeing her finances, ensuring that her assets were managed appropriately, and prioritizing her medical care and long-term needs. This arrangement removed direct control of her finances and placed them under formal supervision. The introduction of guardianship altered the financial framework that had previously supported the divorce agreement. The alimony arrangement had been established under conditions that no longer applied, particularly in relation to Williams's ability to generate income. With her finances now subject to legal oversight, decisions regarding payments were evaluated within a system designed to protect her resources and address her medical requirements. The situation involving Wendy Williams and Kevin Hunter is defined by the interaction between professional success, personal breakdown, and legal intervention. Their relationship began as a combined personal and business partnership, but it later transitioned into a case involving financial restructuring and ongoing legal consideration. The contrast between their earlier position and their current circumstances forms the basis of the narrative as it continues to develop. After the divorce was finalized, the financial arrangement between Wendy Williams and Kevin Hunter remained in place under the terms agreed at the time. The reported monthly alimony of approximately $17,000 reflected the level of income Williams was earning while actively hosting The Wendy Williams Show. At that stage, the agreement followed a standard legal structure based on the financial conditions that existed during their marriage and at the point of separation. The situation began to change as Williams's health affected her ability to continue working. Her absence from the show altered the financial structure that had supported both her career and the divorce settlement. Without consistent income from television, the basis on which the alimony had been calculated no longer applied in the same way. This shift introduced tension between the original terms of the agreement and the new financial reality. In 2022, Wells Fargo took action by freezing Williams's accounts, stating that there were concerns she may have been subject to undue influence and financial exploitation. This decision led to legal proceedings that resulted in the appointment of a court-ordered financial guardian. The guardian assumed control over her financial matters, with responsibility for managing her assets and ensuring that her medical and long-term care needs were addressed. From that point, her finances were no longer directly controlled by her, but were managed within a structured legal framework. The introduction of guardianship had a direct impact on the alimony arrangement. Payments to Hunter were no longer treated as automatic obligations, but became subject to review within the broader context of Williams's financial capacity. As her income had significantly declined and her resources were being allocated toward medical care, the continuation of alimony payments became a matter for legal consideration rather than a fixed outcome. Kevin Hunter responded to this change by filing multiple legal motions seeking to have the payments resumed. In these filings, he argued that the original divorce agreement should remain enforceable and that the payments represented a contractual obligation. He also claimed that the suspension of these payments had placed him in financial difficulty, including the risk of foreclosure on his home. These claims were presented as part of his attempt to restore the financial arrangement that had been established at the time of the divorce. Court decisions addressing these motions focused on Williams's current financial condition. Judges reviewed the circumstances under which the original agreement had been made and compared them to her present situation. The conclusion reached in these proceedings was that she did not have the ability to pay under the existing conditions. As a result, requests to reinstate alimony payments were denied, and the legal position remained aligned with the structure of the guardianship. Additional reports regarding Hunter's financial situation added further context to the dispute. These included references to outstanding debts and legal judgments related to his own financial obligations. While these details did not directly determine the outcome of the alimony case, they contributed to the overall picture presented in court filings and public reporting. The focus of the legal process, however, remained on Williams's capacity to meet the terms of the original agreement. The dispute also extended into broader arguments about the nature of divorce settlements. Hunter's position emphasized the permanence of contractual obligations, while the court's rulings reflected the principle that such agreements can be reassessed when there is a significant change in circumstances. In this case, Williams's health condition and the management of her finances under guardianship were treated as factors that justified modifying or suspending the original terms. Throughout this period, the situation has been defined by the interaction between legal claims and medical realities. The structure that once supported a high-earning media career no longer exists in the same form, and the financial arrangements tied to that structure have been adjusted accordingly. The ongoing legal activity reflects an effort to reconcile past agreements with present conditions, without a clear resolution that satisfies both parties. The situation involving Wendy Williams and Kevin Hunter now reflects a legal and financial reality that differs significantly from the structure that existed during their marriage and professional partnership. The core issue is no longer centered on the circumstances of their separation, but on how previously agreed financial obligations are interpreted under changed conditions. The courts have consistently focused on Williams's present ability to meet those obligations rather than the expectations established at the time of the divorce. The guardianship remains the central factor shaping this outcome. By placing Williams's finances under court supervision, the legal system has introduced a framework that prioritizes her medical care and long-term stability. This structure limits the flexibility of her financial resources and requires that all expenditures be assessed against her current needs. As a result, obligations such as alimony are no longer evaluated in isolation, but as part of a broader responsibility to preserve her well-being. Kevin Hunter's legal position continues to rely on the original divorce agreement. His filings emphasize the contractual nature of the alimony arrangement and argue that it should remain enforceable, regardless of subsequent developments. However, the court's decisions indicate that such agreements are not absolute when there is a substantial change in financial capacity. The determination that Williams lacks the ability to pay has been a consistent basis for denying his requests. This case highlights the limits of financial agreements when circumstances change in ways that were not anticipated at the time they were made. Divorce settlements are typically structured around existing income and assets, but they remain subject to revision when those conditions no longer apply. In this instance, Williams' inability to continue working and the legal management of her finances have altered the foundation on which the original agreement was based. The broader implications extend beyond the individuals involved. The situation illustrates how the legal system balances contractual obligations with considerations of health and financial vulnerability. Guardianship, in particular, serves as a mechanism to protect individuals who are no longer able to manage their own affairs. It introduces oversight that can override prior arrangements when those arrangements conflict with the individual's current needs. At the same time, the case raises questions about the long-term enforceability of financial commitments made under different conditions. Hunter's position reflects a reliance on the expectation that agreements should be upheld as written, while the court's rulings demonstrate that such expectations are contingent on ongoing feasibility. The tension between these perspectives remains unresolved, as each is grounded in a different interpretation of legal responsibility. Public discussion of the situation has often focused on the contrast between past success and present limitation. Wendy Williams' career once generated substantial income and influence, supporting both her personal life and her business operations. That structure has since been replaced by a system centered on care and financial preservation. The transition from one state to the other has redefined the terms under which financial obligations are considered. There is no indication that the underlying legal position will change in the near term. As long as Williams' finances remain under guardianship and her medical condition continues to limit her ability to work, the assessment of her capacity to pay is likely to remain the same. This suggests that the current arrangement, in which alimony payments are not being made, will continue unless there is a significant shift in her circumstances. The narrative that has developed around Wendy Williams and Kevin Hunter is therefore grounded in documented legal decisions and medical realities. It reflects the interaction between personal history, contractual agreements, and institutional oversight. While the public may interpret the situation in different ways, the legal framework provides a clear basis for understanding how and why the current outcome has been reached.